Hello friends, welcome to Bhavesarki online class. Hello friends, we are going to see 23 exercise. I hope all of you must have practiced the values of 30 values of standard angles. Unless and until you practice that table, and if you do not practice it multiple times, mind it very well, you may find this exercise or this particular chapter difficult. Let us come to question 1. It states that find the value of A in the following cases. Question first, sub-question first, they are given 2 sin A equal to 1. We are supposed to find out the value of A. So sin A, this 2 goes in the form of a, here it is multiplication, over there it will be in the form of a division. Sin of A is equal to 1 upon 2. I will go back to tabular values. If you remember, sin 30, sine of 30 degree is equal to half. So I can conclude that sine of A would be equal to sine of 30. I am removing both the functions, so A will be equal to 30 degree. One more sub-question. Sub-question 3, I have mentioned it as 2, here it is 3 actually. Sine of 3 equal to root 3 over 2. If I look at the tabular values, then sine of 60 degree is equal to root 3 over 2. This will fetch us sine of 3a equal to sine of 60 degree. I am removing the function of sine from both sides, so I will get 3a equal to 60 degree, and from this I get a is equal to 20 degree. Rest all sub questions are based on the same concept. Total 8 sub questions are there. You have to be a little careful while calculation. You cannot jump up to the things. Remember, I'm repeating, practice tabular values time and again. Minimum 7 times you need to practice that table. 7 times, not at a stretch, daily 1 time for a week's time. You practice that table and you will master that particular thing. Before I go on to the next question, I would just like to explain you a very simple concept. Suppose A and B both are numbers and product of these two numbers is 0. A into B is equal to 0. My dear friends, if you know the concept very well of numbers, which you did in grade 6, 7, find properties of numbers, then if product of two numbers is 0, then either A has to be 0 or B has to be equal to 0. You need to know this very well. Both of them also can be 0, but minimum one number has to be 0. Either first number, that is A equal to 0, or second number B is equal to 0. We are going to see question 2, sub question 1 and sub question 3. They given first bracket sine of A minus 1 bracket closed into another bracket opens 2 cos A minus 1 bracket closed equal to 0. This entire binomial x as one number, this entire binomial x as a second number. Just now we have seen if product of two numbers is 0, then either of the number is 0. What I mean to say is this is one number, this is another number. The product is given to us as 0. If the product of two numbers is 0, then either of the number has to be 0. So this will lead me to the conclusion that sine A minus 1 equal to 0 or 2 cos A minus 1 equal to 0. I'll just solve the first sine part. So sine A is equal to 1. But if you know the tabular values, then sine of 90 is equal to 1. Therefore, sine of A will be equal to sine of 90. Therefore, one of the value of A is 90. Why I say one of the value? Because here there is topic of OR. So I'll write down next part as I will be solving for this equation. I can say 2 cos A equal to 0 plus 1 is 1. Therefore, cos of A will be equal to 1 upon 2. But from the tabular values, we know cos of 60 degree is equal to 1 upon 2. Therefore, I can say that cos of A is equal to cos of 60 degree Therefore, A is equal to 60. So we are having two different values of A. A can be either 90 degree or 60 degree. Remember, we apply the concept of if product of two numbers is 0, then either first number is 0 or second number is 0. Let us check one more sub question. They have given sec of 2a minus 1 in first bracket, cosec 3a minus 1 into second bracket. Their product is given to us as 0. So again I will use the same concept. Sec of 2a minus 1 equal to 0 or cosec 3a minus 1 equal to 0. I will solve only one part at a time. So I can say that for sec of 2a is equal to 1. But if you see the tabular values, sec of 0 is equal to 1. Therefore, my conclusion will be sec of 2a will be equal to sec 0. Therefore, 2a will be equal to 0, which will fetch me one of the value as of a as 0. As we did in the previous question, we shall see this also. Cosec of 3a will be equal to 1. But if you remember the cosec values, cosec of 90 is equal to 1. So my conclusion is cosec of 3a will be equal to cosec of 90. I'm removing the function of cosec from both sides. So 3a is equal to 90 degree. Hence, I will able to conclude that value of a is 30 degree. The new concept which you have learnt is if a into b is equal to 0, then either a is equal to 0 or b is equal to 0. We shall see question 4 of exercise 23C now. They given 4 cos square x minus 1 equal to 0, and we are supposed to find out few things. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to find the value of x first. How can we find out the value of x, that we shall see. But prior to that, I would just like to remind you that if a square is, say for example 25, and if I take square root on both sides, I am taking square root of both sides, then in algebra a value will be either positive or negative 5. My dear friends, in trigonometry up to grade 10 we are going to see only values up to 90 degree. Hence there is no scope of negative values, and how it is affecting our question that I will explain you just now. You remember this part very well, and how this is not applicable in trigonometry this year, or at least in grade 10 will understand that. Now first of all, this becomes cos square x, 4 times cos square x equal to 0 plus 1 is 1. So cos square x will be equal to 1 over 4. 4 is divided other side. I am taking square root on both sides. If I take square roots, then cos square x will be equal to positive or negative. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 4 is 2. So cos x will be equal to plus or minus 1 upon 2. But my dear friends, as I told you that we are not going to see the negative values of trigonometry ratios. Hence, we will discard this. Discard means we will not consider the negative value. And my dear friends, here you will write down the reason negative value not considered, as it is not a part of scope. So cos x equal to 1 upon 2. As I told you, I am going to find the value of x from the tabular values. Cos of 60 is equal to 1 upon 2. Therefore, cos of x will be equal to cos of 60 degree. Hence, removing the function of cos, I get x equal to 60 degree. This is the first sub question of the question number 4. There is another question to find out sine square x plus cos square x. My dear friends, you have to just substitute the values. One more question is there, 1 upon cos square x minus tan square x. So the remaining part of the solution, you will able to solve it easily by just substituting the values. Next question from exercise 23C is question 8. I am taking sub question 1. They given us value of x as 30 degree, and they given one equation sine of x plus cos of y equal to 1, and later in red is to be calculated. That's value is to be calculated. Now, apparently little different question, but let me tell you, it's not difficult. Sine x will be written down as sine of 30 degree because x value is given to us as 30 is equal to 1. From the tabular values, sine 30 is 1 over 2 plus cos y is equal to 1. So cos y will be equal to 1 minus 1 over 2, and from this you can say cos y is equal to 1 upon 2. Again, if you see the tabular values, then cos of 60 degree is equal to 1 upon 2. Therefore cos of y will be equal to cos of 60 degree, and if you know the removing of function, y will be equal to 60 degree. So as I told you, apparently this is a tricky question, but if you understand it, it's not so difficult at all. Let me tell you that. Next question is, again, as I told you, now there is hardly any scope of doing any new concept in this chapter. Next question is also a trickier one. They've given us a triangle where one of the angle is 90 degree, one of the angle is x, one of the side is y. We are supposed to find the value of x as well as y. Now again, as I told you, there is no much scope in the conceptual questions. These are trickier questions. Now if I look at this particular angle x, with respect to angle x, I know adjacent side, I know hypotenuse. I don't know the opposite side. So I have to recall my basic concepts of trigonometry, which ratio is related with adjacent side and hypotenuse, and you should recall cos or sec are related to adjacent side as well as the hypotenuse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply cos of x is equal to 10 over 20, that is adjacent side over hypotenuse. So my cos x value will be equal to 1 over 2. Now it is easier for you. Cos of x is equal to 1 upon 2, but I know from the tabular values that cos of 60 is equal to 1 over 2. Hence cos of x will be equal to cos of 60. And if you remove the cos function from both sides, it will be x equal to 60. So that is the first sub question's answer over there. Now again you may worry, sir, how to find out y? As I told you, hardly any scope of new concept. So there is no new concept. I'm going to talk about tan of x, that is the opposite side, upon adjacent, that is y over 10. Tan of x is nothing else but tan of 60 degree, because x value is 60. You can see over here x value is 60. So instead of x, I've substituted 60 over here, is equal to y over 10. And if you know the trigonometric tabular values, then tan of 60 degree is nothing else but root 3. So y over 10. So y value will be equal to 10 root 3. This will be your answer. So as I told you, no new concepts, only there may be the trickier questions for you in the remaining part of the exercise. Again, there is no new concept in this particular question. Question 11, sub question 2, exercise 23C. Now my dear friends, it appears to be a very difficult question. Fine, I say it appeared to be. If you know the concept of factorization, if you have done factorization very well, then let me tell you, this won't be a difficult question. There are 4 terms: tan of a minus 2 cos a tan a plus 2 cos a minus 1. There are 4 terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group up these 4 terms into the group of 2 each. From the first group, what can I see is tan a over here, tan a over here. I'm taking out tan a common, and if you know the rule of factorization, tan a divided by tan a will be 1 minus 2 cos a tan a divided by tan a will be 2 cos a. And it is not factorization, so here instead of equal to there will be therefore, because equal to already exists over here. This is an equation. Now here I am having 1 minus 2 cos a, and here I am having 2 cos a minus 1. So what is the trickier part over here is I am taking out negative 1 common. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive. Positive 2 cos divided by negative is negative. Now from 4 terms we have come to 2 terms. In each of the term, 1 minus 2 cos a is common part. So you'll have 1 minus 2 cos a into another bracket 10a minus 1 is equal to 0. My dear friends, few minutes back we did a concept that if product of two numbers is 0, then either of the number is 0. So I will able to say 1 minus 2 cos a is equal to 0, or 10a minus 1 equal to 0. This will fetch us cos a is equal to 1 upon 2, or 10a will be equal to 1. And if you know the trigonometric values properly, then you will able to do the calculation part easily, because cos of 60 is equal to half, so a value will be equal to 60, or 10 of 45 is 1, so a will be 45. I hope this will not be difficult for you to solve the in between part which I have left blank. Exercise 23C, question 11, sub question 3. 2 cos square a minus 3 cos a plus 1 equal to 0. Here there are only 3 terms. Then can we factorize that or not? Let us see. We will able to factorize that, but what I am doing is I am making my life simpler, substituting cos a is equal to x instead of cos a, x. So here first term will become cos square a, so it will be 2x square minus 3x plus 1 equal to 0. Now dear friends, this is exercise 5b, quadratic expression where you factorize. You have to recall that particular concept, and what will happen over here, we can split up the middle term. This middle term will be split up as negative 2x minus x plus 1 is equal to 0. 4 terms will be grouped into each. I can take out 2x common, so x minus 1, negative 1 common, so x minus 1. So I'll able to say that x minus 1 into 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So that will, if you remember the concept, product of two numbers is 0, then either of the number is 0. So I can say that x minus 1 equal to 0, or 2x minus 1 is equal to 0, which will tell me that either x is equal to 1 or x is equal to 1 over 2. But remember, we are not supposed to find the value of x, we are supposed to find the value of a. So what I'm going to do is resubstituting x is equal to cos a. So I can say cos a is equal to 1, or cos a is equal to 1 over 2. Again, you have to go back to the tabular values and you can find out the value of a as either a will be equal to 0 or a will be equal to 60 degree. Fine, so this equation was converted into quadratic equation. We solved it by factorizing or splitting up the middle term. Then we went back to the concept of trigonometrical value table. We shall see an interesting question. They given us 2 cos into bracket a plus b equals 2 sin a minus b equal to 1, and we are supposed to find out the value of a and b. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to understand it in parts. 2 cos of a plus b equals 1. Therefore cos of a plus b is equal to 1 upon 2. You know the tabular values. Cos of 60 is equal to 1 upon 2. Therefore cos of a plus b will be equal to cos 60. Removing the function of cos, so a plus b equal to 60 degree. This is my equation number 1. We are supposed to find out a and b both. Right now a plus b I got as 60 degree. I will take the another equation as 2 sine of a minus b equals 1. Sine a minus b will be equal to 1 over 2. If you know the trigonometric values, but sine of 30 degree will be equal to 1 upon 2. Therefore sine of a minus b is equal to sine 30. Removing the function of sine from both sides, a minus b is equal to 30 degree. This I am labeling as 2. Now I am having two equations, a plus b equal to 60 and a minus b equal to 60. What I am going to do, I am adding both the equations remember, whenever I add equations, then left hand side will be added to left hand side and right hand side will be added to right hand side. So I'm having left side as a plus b in first equation, which will be added to left side of the second equation. Right hand side of first equation is 60, which will be added to right hand side of second equation, which is 30. So 60 plus 30. If you know the basic rules, a plus a 2a, b minus b 0. So value of a you got as 45 degree. Now question arises, sir, we got the value of a as 45. How can we find out value of b as whatever value it may be? How can we find out value of b? Then it's pretty simple. What I'm doing is substituting value of a as 45 in either of the equation, either equation 1 or 2. So I'm substituting in equation 1. So I get a plus b is equal to 60 degree. Therefore 45 plus b is equal to 60 degree. So b will be equal to 15 degree. So this was a little trickier question, and that's all from this particular exercise. Thank you.